All right, let's get cooking. Welcome to the latest edition of Chin Check Sports Radio. I'm your host, JD. I want to thank you all for taking the time out to join us. And as always, we welcome any suggestions, feedback, comments, and criticisms, which improves the quality of our program, which ultimately improves your listening experience. Before we get started, we want to send all of you our thank yous for your tremendous support. People are slowly but surely finding out about who we are and what we do. They enjoy and respect the passion with which we speak. But as we stated before, we do this because we love this, as we are sharing our passion with you all, as we continue to build our listening army to take over the world. The Dallas Cowboys Week 16 home loss to the visiting Arizona Cardinals. Let's jump into our statistics here. Quarterback Dak Prescott, 24 of 38 attempts, 226 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. However, he did have a sack. Quarterback Dak Prescott, 5 carries, 20 yards. Running back Ezekiel Elliott, 9 carries of 16 yards. And Tony Pollard, 3 carries, 9 yards. Dalton Schultz, 6 catches for 54 yards. CeeDee Lamb, 3 catches for 51 yards. Tony Pollard, 3 catches for 49 yards. Michael Gallup, 3 catches for 36 yards and 1 touchdown. Cedric Wilson, 6 catches for 35 yards and 1 touchdown. And Amari Cooper, 3 catches for 18 yards and 1 touchdown. On the defensive side, Leighton Vander Esch, 10 total tackles, 8 solo. Jaron Kearse, 6 total tackles, 5 solo. Jordan Lewis, 5 total tackles, 5 solo. Micah Parsons, 5 total tackles, 4 solo, 2 tackles for a loss. Dorrance Armstrong, 5 total tackles, 3 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss. Randy Gregory, 5 total tackles, 3 solo, 1 tackle for a loss. Donovan Wilson, 5 total tackles, 3 solo. Terrell Basham, 4 total tackles, 2 solo. Trevon Diggs, 3 total tackles, 3 solo. Malik Hooker, 3 total tackles, 2 solo. Carlos Watkins, 3 total tackles, 1 solo. Where did it go wrong today? The Dallas Cowboys, who were heavy favorites at home, playing against an Arizona Cardinals team who was reeling off of 3 straight losses that included one to the hapless and hopeless Detroit Lions. The Dallas Cowboys, who were riding the emotional wave of a dominant victory over their arch rival, the Washington football team. The Arizona Cardinals, who were without DeAndre Hopkins, one of the top 3 receivers in football. James Conner, the running back, who was having a Pro Bowl caliber season. And the Dallas Cowboys lost this game that it could have kept their standing as the number 2 seed in the NFC, has now dropped down to the number 4 seed. And we're going to break all this stuff down. When you wonder how the Cowboys, who are heavy favorites at home, playing against a team without defenders on the defensive side, without DeAndre Hopkins, without James Conner, the same team who lost to the Detroit Lions, let's begin with only 45 yards rushing on 17 attempts, a 2.6 average. That is a problem where quarterback Dak Prescott had the most rushing yards in this game today against an Arizona team who, with all the athletes, Isaiah Simmons, Zaven Collins, the Buda Bakers, the Chandler Jones, all the athletes that they have on defense, they are vulnerable and susceptible to the run, and the Dallas Cowboys once again could not exploit a team who is weak up the middle, and the Cowboys could not run the football. That's Exhibit A why the Cowboys lost this game. Exhibit B, C, and D. Quarterback Dak Prescott. Now, if you listen to his numbers, the 226 passing yards, those numbers are rather pedestrian, again, against a team who was missing players on the defensive side. Now, while the numbers even look respectable at 226, because Dak Prescott in this game, he reminded us of the 2020 Dak Prescott before he was injured. The same Dak Prescott who was sleepwalk for the first 3 quarters of a football game and miraculously turn on the switch in the 4th quarter. That is exactly what happened in this game. Again, as the team tries to peak for the playoffs. That is a serious problem. We also will not mention how Dak had missed some wide open receivers. I'm talking about throws to Amari Cooper. Even a touchdown catch to Michael Gallup was more of a great catch and a great pass, where Gallup had to turn around and come back to the ball, and we'll talk about that injury to defeat. So again, Dak Prescott, I thought, did not play well. All the questions again was whether he was in the slump, how was his play, and folks, you just saw what happened again. Despite the big game against the Washington football team, now you're playing a playoff team, a team that he possibly can play again just in a few weeks, and he did not play well. And again, this is against a team who do not have a lot of players on the defensive side and mustered up a very average offense. Again, I mentioned a key fumble. Dak had a bad fumble as the Cowboys were starting to drive. He had a bad fumble. The Cardinals, they went ahead, they kicked the field goal, and that put them ahead. So again, we look at exhibits B, C, and D. We're going to look at quarterback Dak Prescott, because the same way the QB gets the lion's share of the credit when the team wins, he's going to have to bear his responsibility when the team loses. And again, here's the difference between good and great, or good and elite. Dak Prescott at home with his entire roster could not beat a team who limped in to AT&T or the new Cowboys Palace and lost. Vis-a-vis Aaron Rodgers, who with a COVID-depleted team of wide receivers and offensive linemen waltzes into Arizona and puts one on them. Let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen. Let that sink in, which is why Aaron Rodgers is now the number one seed. On the defensive side, even though they kept the game close, where they gave up a lot of field goals really than instead of touchdowns, but it was going to be a bad day when Trayvon Diggs was beaten by an A.J. Green deep pass, a couple of passes where they were beaten deep, but they held the field goals again. I only got 1 sack out of the day and 0 turnovers, as has been the playbook for the Cowboys this year. If the defense does not get any turnovers or stops when they needed to get stops, because they allowed a lot of third down conversions, I thought that kept drives going. I thought that, and by keeping the drives going, which means that the Cardinals got field goals, yes, even though on certain plays the defense did stiffen up, but they allowed a lot of foolish penalties. They were beaten on a fake punt, a lot of holding penalties, especially on the offensive line. But since we're talking about the defense, they played okay. I felt they could have played better. A lot of the defensive strategy, they seem to not have a spy for one Kyler Murray. I thought you can only ask Micah Parsons to do so much. And again, the defense gave up over 100 yards on the ground, 127 to be exact. And again, yes, it was a combination of Chase Edmonds and Kyler Murray and other players, but still 127 yards is 127 yards rushing, while you only ran for 45 yards. So, yeah, those are some of the reasons why the Cowboys lost this game. Now, everybody is going to point to Mike McCarthy of a timeout that he took when the Arizona Cardinals trotted their kicker on the field and Kyler Murray was on the field, that forced him to take a timeout, because defensively they weren't ready. That cost them later on, where clearly the Cardinals fumbled the ball. It was before the 2-minute warning. It was a clear recovery by the Cowboys that could have maybe swung the momentum of the game. But our thing is this, and we're going to be totally honest here, that has nothing to do with Mike McCarthy. It really doesn't. I think at that time he had to do the best that he could, considering where you put the kicker on the field as well as Kyler Murray on the field. You were clearly lost defensively. So he had to take the timeout. It came back to bite him. I'm not going to hold that over Mike McCarthy's head. And I think other people who want to hold that over Mike McCarthy's head is being very, very disingenuous. Again, the offense that's ran by Kellen Moore, that's ran by Dak Prescott, was rather inept until the fourth quarter, again, when they were down big and they made a miraculous comeback that fell short. The defense could not generate a turnover. The defense cannot generate enough third down stops. That's why I lost the game. And folks, we tweeted this. Does anybody really feel confident with Greg Zuerlein who missed the field goal, yes, that's not lost on me either. Greg Zuerlein, who missed the field goal, had he makes the field goal, that game is tied 25 all. But mind you, their kicker, Prater, makes all of his kicks and doesn't even miss a beat. However, Greg the Leg Zuerlein misses the field goal, and nobody's talking about that. Cowboys fans in the playoffs, are you really confident in this guy to really make a big kick? We're not, and I hope you guys aren't. Because again, Greg Zuerlein cost us the first game of the season against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And he was one of the reasons. I'm not going to put it all on him today, but he is another factor. So we're already at Exhibit E. And so why the Cowboys lost this game is because of Greg Zuerlein. Again, had he make his kicks, this game is tied. And nobody's talking about that. Everybody's going to talk about Mike McCarthy or the refs making a bad call. No. The Dallas Cowboys, these are the games they're supposed to make a statement, beat a team who's going to be going to the playoffs. And if anything, they should have beaten the hell out of Arizona. So this makes you wonder, if this continues, if Dak Prescott cannot get out of his own way, if Dak Prescott is going to not wake up, if the offense is not going to wake up until the fourth quarter of games, this is going to be close to a playoff game, as Cowboys are going to play before they make it to the playoffs. And really next week, since they're locked in, I can make an argument to the 4th seed. I would say there's no point in even playing guys next week. Maybe play them for a half, kind of get some feet wet. But I would say they need to start resting guys. Ezekiel Elliott, they're really going to have to make a decision here. He is clearly not the same player that he was, and now injuries are starting to pile up. So they're going to have to do something. If you need further reason why the Cowboys should really look for Tyron Smith's backup, is because look at how bad, I'm not going to say how bad he looked, but the Tyron Smith today was getting eaten up by one Chandler Jones. So again, he's an older player. He's had injuries. The injuries are starting to catch up to him. So these are some issues that the Cowboys must correct within the next week, folks, before the playoffs start, because their final game is against the Philadelphia Eagles. And again, they already have the playoffs locked up. They have the division locked up. I don't think they can move up. I think they can move up anymore in the seedings. And my thing is, even at this point, what does it matter? I would say start resting guys. Let Zeke sit for the next week. Call up Jaquan Hardy back from the practice squad. Let Zeke rest. Let Dak maybe get some, first team reps or something like that. Pull Dak out the game. And again, to add injury to defeat, on the touchdown catch, Michael Gallup tears his ACL, or possibly tore his ACL. And you saw it coming. The minute when he made the catch, he fell down to the ground. When the ref put his hands up to signal touchdown, Gallup did not get up. He was clearly clutching his left leg. You saw it even in the slow motion or on the replay when he caught the pass. As soon as he turned towards the end zone, you saw him pick that leg up. He fell to the ground, and so Gallup is possibly going to be out for the rest of the season. Now, is it a blow? Yes. Is it a big death knell blow? I'm going to say no, because I thought Cedric Wilson played well in relief. The Cowboys did already play, 5, 6, 7 games without Michael Gallup. So not saying that he's not a big piece of the offense, which he is, but they have shown a history of kind of making it without him. So again, that's another thing the team has to worry about. I would say next week, play the first half, start resting guys, and start getting their minds right. Because if the Dallas Cowboys play like the way they played today, they're going to be one and done in the playoffs. And for a team with just a couple weeks ago that had NFC Championship game aspirations and Super Bowl aspirations, that should really take a backseat now. So let's get back to basics. Forget the Super Bowl. Forget the NFC Championship game. Focus on whoever they're playing in the wild card game and start getting their minds right. So this concludes this broadcast of Chin Check Radio. We're signing off until the next time.